Every crocodile type explained in 18 minutes. God damn it. By Dolphin explains. We're gonna look at that. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. And yeah. Well, anyways, we'll look at this. We'll look at this. I am curious. How dare you say the J word?
Job.
We'll go into it. We'll go into it. We'll see what these crocodiles look like. But a crocodile is not an alligator. Aren't they even considered not the same species? Anyways, moving on. I think at least. We'll see.
American alligator. The most dangerous thing about an alligator isn't its teeth. It's that you already know it's there, and you're still walking toward the water. The American alligator has existed in essentially its current form for millions of years.
Yeah, I'd be careful. I'd be careful. Otherwise Clavicula will shoot you if you were an American alligator. Yep, they are pretty good at survival.
It survived the asteroid that ended the dinosaurs. It outlasted every megafauna that shared its swamp. It watched the last ice age from below the waterline and simply waited it out. Today, it occupies golf course ponds, suburban drainage ditches, and backyard swimming pools across the American Southeast. A prehistoric apex predator that didn't adapt to human expansion so much as it ignored.
Simply put, it is known as the swamp puppy. It is the swamp puppy. The fact that like these guys have been around for so long is interesting. I would have eventually, we should start domesticating them so we can have proper swamp puppies.
Ignored it entirely. When it bites, it doesn't chew. It locks, drops its body weight, and spins. Bone, tendon, and joint, separated mechanically, without frustration, without...
In other words, it bites, locks in, and then just rotates. We are doing what's called a pro gamer move and rotating. How could you be afraid of something so cute? That is not cute. Look at these teeth. That is not cute. Nah, we're good. The mandible, by the way, since we've watched a video about it, looks maxing. Cervical vertebrae is there. Then the spinal cord, obviously. Pterygoid muscles, mandibular abductor muscle, and the maxilla. Wow.
Without hesitation, in a technique unchanged for tens of millions of years, because nothing about it needed changing. The water goes still. The only sound is pressure. Here's the part
when you're so good in the meta that God doesn't know how to nerve you in a meaningful way.
Nobody mentions, though. Statistically, the alligator is one of the least likely wild animals to kill you in North America. It generally avoids humans, unless someone feeds it. Feed an alligator once, and it stops processing you as irrelevant. You don't become a friend. You become a category, and that reclassification, once made, doesn't reverse. It survived mass extinction, continental drift, and 5 ice ages.
Sorry, Croco. I am no longer feeding you. I am no longer feeding you. I have now realized that if I feed you, you're gonna eventually start eating me.
The one thing that keeps getting it killed is a retired man in cargo shorts with a hot dog. Survival chance, 87%. Drops to 11% the moment you name it. But if the alligator is the one you've heard of, what comes next is the one that made the rest of this list feel like a warm-up. Saltwater crocodile. The saltwater crocodile is the largest living reptile on Earth, and the open ocean.
The open ocean. Yep, that is a saltwater crocodile, and they go num quite hard. Yeah. Didn't we watch a video? I forgot which one it was. But they were talking about their long, thick tails poison the food poke. I will poison the food for these crocodiles and for this croco.
Is just another habitat it decided to claim. Found across Southeast Asia, Northern Australia, And the Indo-Pacific, Crocodilis porosus has been documented hundreds of kilometers offshore, navigating between islands in open water with the calm purposefulness of something that has never once considered the concept of a natural predator. It grows past 6 meters. It generates a bite force of roughly 3,700 pounds per square inch, the highest measured of any living animal. And it delivers that force in a sustained, directional lock while dragging prey below the surface. But the bite isn't the terrifying.
So the bite doesn't obliterate you, it will just drown you. Well, modern problems require modern solutions.
Part. The waiting is. Saltwater crocodiles submerge, regulate their heartbeat to near stillness, and hold position for hours. The water above them shows nothing. Flat, opaque, warm. No ripple, no silhouette. You're standing at the bank washing your hands, or collecting water, or doing something completely ordinary, and it's been watching you since before you arrived. Documented attacks occur most frequently during routine shoreline activity, not during anything reckless. The crocodile wasn't provoked. It was already there. According to accounts from communities across...
So you're saying me bro knows? Are you telling me bro understands like day schedules, patterns of behavior? That'd be terrifying.
Northern Australia and coastal Papua New Guinea, people don't stop going to the water. They simply learn to move differently near it. The awareness that something might be watching changes the texture of every ordinary moment near the shoreline. The air feels closer. The water looks deeper than it is. Survival chance, 14%, and only if it wasn't already watching you walk down to the bank. But if the saltwater crocodile owns the Indo-Pacific, there's one that owns something far older, a river that built civilization and quietly collected its tithe, Nile crocodile. The ancient Egyptians built a god in its image, and the Nile crocodile accepted that as nothing more than accurate. Crocodilus niloticus has occupied the Nile and sub-Saharan Africa for millennia, and according to ancient Egyptian belief, the god Sobek,
a fucking crocodile god? That is rather interesting. The guys were so menacing, they started praying to God. See, Poke, I'm a god. Well, then you should capitalize the G. But you are not, there's only one god.
crocodile-headed, river-ruling, and morally indifferent, embodied the Nile's central paradox. The same water that fed the crops could pull you under in 4 seconds. Temples kept live crocodiles as sacred animals. Priests adorned them with gold and linen. The crocodiles accepted the reverence, ate when hungry, and made no theological distinctions. Today, the Nile crocodile is responsible for more documented human fatalities than any other crocodilian species. Hundreds of deaths per year across sub-Saharan Africa, according to documented accounts.
Well, it is an important river where it is easy to access water, so it kind of makes sense that you would have a lot of human deaths, considering that humans need to live there. Right? That makes sense.
Precise figures vary by region and reporting access. It times its strike to the moment of maximum exposure, the exact second a limb extends over the surface, and the strike itself produces almost no sound before contact. But here's what the myth actually means. Nile crocodiles are documented cooperative hunters. Multiple individuals position around prey in coordinated formation, using their bodies to corral fish or control access to a carcass. Spatial reasoning, group tactics, in an animal with a brain roughly the size of a walnut.
Not bad. I guess small brain still is capable of doing great things. Rather interesting. The size of a walnut is crazy. Huh.
Every civilization that built along the Nile built around the crocodile, not by conquering it, but by accepting that the river came with a cost, and that the cost had teeth. Sobek was the god of fertility, water, and military power. The crocodile didn't need the mythology to justify any of that. It was already operating that way.
But why the fertility? I guess because of the Nile and like the water that was needed from the Nile, but like why fertility? Hopefully not human fertility. Otherwise this guy can stay far away from me.
Survival chance, 22%. Higher if you avoid the water. Lower if you've ever described the Nile as peaceful. Gharial. The gharial looks like something designed to be terrifying and then quietly reassigned. Native to the rivers of the Indian subcontinent, primarily the Chambal and Gandak, Gavialis gangeticus carries a lineage that diverged from other crocodilians tens of millions of years.
Bro looks a bit goofy, honestly. How threatening are we talking? Because bro looks a little goofy.
Years ago. 4 meters of ancient, cold-blooded prehistory, lined with over 100 interlocking teeth.
What on earth? Well, these are certainly AI generated. You want to know why? Why is there a crocodile with 2 heads? Okay, this is the one crocodile is based on. Yeah, but why does it have 2 heads? What is going on? That's a lot of heads.
Lurking in the shallows of sacred rivers, and it eats fish. Only fish. That long, narrow snout, precision engineered over geological time, cannot open wide enough to threaten a human being. The gharial cannot raise itself efficiently onto land. It cannot perform a death roll. In the water, it moves like smoke, but on the bank, it barely moves at all, lying pale and enormous and completely harmless in the
Why does bro get grilled? And no one bothered to fix it? The AI, yeah. Yeah. So it would seem. It's funny though. This man is getting grilled. Okay, well, this one's not threatening.
afternoon heat. According to Hindu tradition, the Ganges and its tributaries are sacred spaces, and the Gharial and the Gangetic River dolphin both occupy those waters as protected animals, revered rather than feared. Here's the twist. The gharial is critically endangered, with fewer than 1,000 mature individuals remaining in the wild, according to current conservation assessments. And it wasn't hunted to that edge because anyone feared it. Its rivers were dammed, drained, and mined for sand. The most harmless crocodilian alive is disappearing not because it threatened anyone, but because no one thought about it at all. It survived 10.
Typical. Typical, typical, typical. I blame you. Yes, you, Joe. I blame you. This is a speed type Pokemon. There's no speed type, but it is a speed Pokemon, definitely.
Of millions of years of evolutionary pressure and mass extinction events. It could not survive irrigation infrastructure. There's a particular kind of tragedy in something that outlasted the dinosaurs losing to agricultural development. It didn't need you to be afraid of it. Apparently, it needed you to notice it existed. But if the gharial retreated from human civilization, what comes next moved directly into it and started checking the water pressure. Mugger.
All right, the mugger crocodile. Ain't no way. Hi Shine Duck. Today took the perfect photo of the crystallon. That's interesting. Hey, I've words against these people. Doesn't matter. You are part of these people. They are your people.
Crocodile. The mugger crocodile has been found in wells, temple ponds, irrigation canals, and flooded city streets, and it does not appear to find any of this unusual. Crocodilus palustris, the marsh crocodile of the Indian subcontinent, Iran, and Sri Lanka, takes its common name from the Hindi word magar, meaning water monster, though opportunistic urban settler.
That's definitely sound more like a mugger, like somebody who steals. Anyways, you know, this is the one that is based on me, so it would seem in this case. Well, that's why the glasses are there. Ha! Interesting.
Would be equally accurate. It is a generalist in the most unsettling sense. It eats fish, birds, mammals, and carrion. excavates burrows to survive drought, travels overland between water sources, and has been documented entering villages during monsoon flooding and simply declining to leave once the water receded. It interprets every expansion of human settlement as a potential new habitat, which is either remarkable adaptability or a complete disregard for the concept of private property, depending on your perspective. But here's what nobody mentions. At several
I guess bro just is there, right? And just wants to like live his best life, and where there's humans there is best life, so he will just stay with um receiving and gaining his best life. He is a homie after all. By the way, that's a lot.
sites across India and Pakistan, including the documented Mugger Pier Shrine, Mugger crocodiles, and human communities, occupy the same physical space in a negotiated coexistence that has persisted for generations. Pilgrims approach. Priests feed them. The crocodiles accept this with the composure of something that understood the arrangement before anyone explained it. The crocodile did not soften. The humans simply stopped flinching, which is either profound spiritual harmony or a very slow collective risk assessment. Survival chance, 61%.
How did they even collect? How does he even calculate the survival chance? How could you be afraid of these when they make them so cute in the animation? First of all, those are PNGs, not animation. Second of all, they're not cute IRL. They will snap your bones.
Significantly lower if you mistake the temple pond for a decorative water feature. The mugger adapted to human presence by becoming comfortable around people. What comes next adapted by becoming smarter than it should be. Cuban crocodile. The Cuban crocodile is small.
Is it also communist? Right? Does it share the food? Right? Is it? I don't know.
Fast, hunts on land, and exists in 2 swamps. The ground was the one thing you had left, and now you don't have that either. Crocodilus rhombifer is endemic to Cuba. The Zapata Swamp and Lanier Swamp on Isla de la Juventud, the most geographically restricted crocodilian on Earth, critically endangered, its entire wild population compressed into 2 ecosystems by centuries of hunting and habitat destruction. Fossil records suggest it once ranged across the Caribbean. Now it fits in 2 wetlands, and within those 2 wetlands, it evolved longer hind legs relative to its body size than almost any other crocodilian, giving it a more upright, mobile gait across solid.
What on earth? Yeah, that'd be terrifying. This is just a crocodile man at this point. I am half man, half crocodile. That is crazy. That's the wrong depiction here. Definitely, those are man legs.
Ground. It jumps. Documented accounts describe coordinated group behavior during hunts.
Next, you're gonna tell me it flies too. This motherfucker jumps.
Multiple individuals moving in concert to pursue and corner terrestrial prey. A critically endangered crocodile that coordinates with other crocodiles and jumps is the most alarming combination of attributes on this entire list. Here's the part that actually matters. The Cuban crocodile is hybridizing with the American crocodile in the wild, a genetic blending that threatens the taxonomic distinctiveness of both species. The most behaviorally sophisticated small crocodilian in the Western Hemisphere may dissolve its own identity through interbreeding. Whether that's a conservation tragedy or the most aggressive survival strategy ever attempted by an animal on the edge of extinction is genuinely an open question.
Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, right? They're immigrating and then mixing. They're gonna be outbred. It is what it is. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do for your traits to continue. And in this case, you're gonna see jumping American crocodiles that run on land.
Survival chance, 44%. Drops to 9% if there's more than one, and you're more than a few feet from the water. But if the Cuban crocodile is dangerous because of what it learned, the next one is dangerous simply because of where it lives. Black Caiman. The Amazon already wants you dead. The Black Caiman is just the part of it.
We got crocodiles from the hood. That's rather interesting. However, do they also have do they have guns? Do they shoot you?
That moves. Melanosuchus niger is the largest predator in the Amazon basin, reaching 5 meters or beyond according to documented accounts, though maximum size estimates vary by source, and the apex crocodilian of the Western Hemisphere. Its hide is dark enough that in the Amazon's blackwater rivers, at night, it produces no silhouette, no reflection. The water simply shifts, and then it's there. It was hunted nearly to extinction in the mid-20th century, populations collapsing under commercial hide trading before protections were introduced. The animal that outsiders classified as a threat was almost erased, not by anything it did, but by what it was worth dead. Its recovery is considered a conservation success. It is also, once again, the dominant predator in the most biodiverse and dangerous ecosystem on Earth, hunting at night, invisible, targeting prey up.
Then again, the Amazon rainforest literally is just Australia on steroids. So, there's that. I guess they also have crocodiles. So you have a black brother. So it would seem. So it would seem.
Up to the size of tapirs, and, according to documented accounts, humans. But here's what the myth actually means. Indigenous communities throughout the Amazon have coexisted with black caimans for centuries, incorporating them into cosmology and navigating the river with an understanding of caiman behavior that outsiders took generations to begin documenting. The animal classified externally as a monster is, for those who live alongside it, simply a neighbor. An apex neighbor with a particular dietary range, but a neighbor. The market that almost killed it is still operating. The black caiman is larger now than it was when the protections came in. It came back.
Ancient caiman is, in other words, small, while the modern giant is, well, giant. That's interesting, though.
And it didn't come back smaller. Survival chance, 31%. That number assumes you see it first, which you won't. But everything on this list has been a species, a pattern, a category, a type. What closes it out is different. It's a single animal, with a name. Gustav. Gustav is not a species.
The Gustav! Well, we remember that. We remember that. Poke's getting cancelled for your racist remarks. Finally, I have been waiting. Gustav. There he is.
He is an individual Nile crocodile, named, documented, and estimated by researchers to have killed over 300 people along the shores of Lake Tanganyika and the Ruzizi River in Burundi. French naturalist and filmmaker Patrice Fay first documented and named him in the late 1990s, spending years attempting to capture or study him. By Fay's estimates, Gustav exceeds 6 meters in length and weighs over 900 kilograms, though all measurements are observational. He has never been captured. 3 bullet scars mark his body. A chunk is missing from his right shoulder. Whatever left it did not finish the job. Gustav's size makes him too large to efficiently hunt the prey Nile crocodiles typically target, so he hunts large mammals, hippos, buffalo, and humans.
You are telling this man hunts hippos? Well, that explains why he looks so fucked up in this case, but good for him.
Opportunistically, but in documented patterns of return to specific village areas along the lakeshore, causing entire communities to relocate according to reported accounts. Patrice Fay built a large floating cage trap with live bait and came closer to capturing Gustav than anyone before or since. Gustav approached. He assessed it. He left. His last confirmed sighting was in 2015, though reports remain inconsistent and difficult to verify. By Faye's estimates, he is now in his 60s.
So we have not seen this one in over a decade now. Well, I don't know.
Elderly for a crocodile, which means nothing, because crocodiles do not age in any direction that affects what they are. Here's the part that makes the rest of this list feel different, in retrospect. Every other entry is a species, a pattern, a category of animal you can study, map, and measure. Gustav is a person. Not metaphorically, he has a name, a documented history, and a face that researchers who have spent years looking for him recognize on sight. Patrice Faye sat across from him, close enough to count the scars, and understood in some immediate and irreversible way that the crocodile was also conducting an assessment. And then Gustav chose to leave. That time. Survival chance. 0% if he selects you. 100% if he doesn't. He selects. Every animal on this list is a version of the same answer to the same question. What does something look like that evolution gave up trying to improve? The answer, across every continent, every river system.
He's my dad. I learned from him how to delete you in the future. Well, I guess I gotta put it through bullet holes then and see what happens, huh? In this case, 3 arrow holes. Yeah, the thing is, like, I think there was no improvement needed. Perfect build. 100% perfect build. Unless, like, humans came.
Every sacred temple pond and Blackwater Amazon tributary is the same. Patient, armored, ancient, and indifferent to your presence in any way that isn't nutritional. We spent this entire video measuring them by size, by kill count, by geographic range, by how many ways they've found to end a human life. And not one of them noticed. The alligator in the Florida drainage ditch and Gustav on the shores of Lake Tanganyika are operating on the same biological logic, refined over 200 million years into something so efficient it stopped needing refinement entirely. We built gods in their image. We built fences around them. We hunted some of them to the edge of extinction and called it progress. They were here before the first human being looked at a river and decided it was safe. They will assess that question on their own terms, in their own time, and they have never once needed our permission. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.
Anyways, that is rather interesting. In other words, these big boys will enjoy your meat. They will eat you and very much enjoy it. Yeah, the only one that was like interesting right on this list is Gustav, that we have heard from this man before. Well, man, lizard, whatever. Um, and then the Cuban one and the American crocodile, they're just mixing. So will it be the Cuban American crocodile? But what's the difference between the Cuban and the American crocodile? Because isn't the Cuban crocodile also an American crocodile? Anyways, rather interesting. Very interesting.